Good evening, everyone. This is John Sanders along with Fred Landau coming to you live from Falcon Field in Meriden, Connecticut. Game 4 of the BIC International Women's Professional Softball World Series. We've reached Game 4 with the Connecticut Falcons in the field, and they'll start defensively like this. Kathy Stillwell will be in left field. In center field will be number 1, Snooki Mulder, playing center field. The right fielder tonight for the defending 3-time champions of women's professional softball, Adi Kuyala. She will play right field tonight for the Connecticut Falcons. At third base, Linda McMorran. McMorran playing at third base tonight. Karen Gallagher will be the shortstop tonight. Karen Gallagher played in Game 1, did not play in Games 2 or 3. The second baseman for tonight's game will be Willie Rose, a veteran of women's professional softball. She's at second base. The first baseman tonight will be Joyce Compton. Joyce Compton, number 8 at first base. You see standing next to her the starting pitcher tonight, Margaret Rebenar. Jackie Ledbetter is behind home plate. She's the catcher. She was the catcher in Game 1. Rebenar will be the pitcher. She was the losing pitcher in Game 1, a game that was won by the St. Louis Hummers by a score of 2-1. But in Game 2, it was an 8-1 victory for Connecticut. Last night, a 2-0 victory for Connecticut. Charlene Senewald will start it off tonight for the Hummers. A .250 average for the regular season for Charlene. And in the World Series so far, she's 3 for 11 with 2 RBIs. She hit the game-winning home run in game number 1.
You know, John, Charlene was batting leadoff for the first time last night, and the Hummers failed to come up with any scoring last night. You'd think maybe they'd go back to Vicki Schneider leading off, but no, Charlene leads off.
She hit that one in the gap. Let's see if she'll go for 2. She stops at first. 4th hit in the series, 4 for 12 now for Charlene Senewald, and that's the way it starts for the Hummers. And if they're going to get back in this World Series of professional women's softball, they have to do it first with their bats. They did not score in last night's game. They have only scored in the first 2 games and only 3 runs. Here's the base hit again, Fred.
Charlene gets all of that one and lines it to left center field. Snooki Mulder, the center fielder for Connecticut, doing a good job to cut it off and holding Senewald to a single.
The hitter now is Debbie Zoss. She bats from the left side. Debbie 2 out of 11 so far in the 1979 World Series. A lot of clouds overhead. It's a little warmer than it has been in games 2 and 3, both won by Connecticut. The Falcons going back to their green uniforms tonight. They are the home team. The white uniforms, the visitors from St. Louis, the St. Louis Hummers. Debbie Zoss in the regular season had 16 RBIs. She hit .259. There's a called strike. Our umpire at home plate is George Forline. At first base, it's Paul Smotus. And at third base, it's Art Ledoux. And we're delighted to have you with us here on the TCS Satellite Network. Debbie Zoss now steps out of the batter's box, goes down to talk to Coach Linda Wells. Linda Wells under the gun here tonight. Her team facing elimination from the 1979 World Series if they lose this game tonight. It's a best-of-5 series. The Falcons, who've won the first 3 World Series, lead this one 2-1. There's the home plate umpire, George Forline. And back in the batter's box from the left side with her aluminum bat is Debbie Zoss. Takes up high, ball 2. It's 2-1. Debbie, including the playoffs and the World Series and the regular season tonight, is hitting .258. The count is 3-1, not 2-1. 3 balls, 1 strike. Ground ball back to the pitcher. Rebenar to second for 1. No throw to first. It was not a good throw by Rebenar to second. Coming across, Karen Gallagher had to reach behind her a little bit in order to make the play on it. Let's watch it again.
Zoss hitting it right up the middle. Margaret Rebenar, the pitcher for Connecticut, cutting it off, going to Karen Gallagher at second. Gallagher making an outstanding play to keep that from going through to the outfield, John.
Yes, she did. The hitter now will be Pat Ginsler. Pat, as you look at the infielders moving down the line at first and third, Pat has hit the ball very hard in the World Series. She fouls that one at home plate. Doesn't really have much to show for it, Fred. She's 2 out of 10.
And that's a surprise. Her .429 batting average for the season. There you see it on the screen. She had .428 on the year against the Falcons, but having a tough time here so far in the World Series.
We're just underway in Game 4 of the World Series from Meriden, Connecticut. A bunt. Great catch by McMorran in foul territory. 2 away. Linda McMorran charging down the line to make the play in foul territory. We'll watch it.
Patty Ginsler trying to bunt her way on base, moving the runner to second. However, she gets the ball up in the air, and McMorran making a fine diving catch just on the foul line for the second out.
That is out number 2, as you see Linda McMorran now. Nancy Boomer Nelson at the plate, the most valuable player in the league in 1979. Outside, Ledbetter's throw to first is not in time. Jackie Ledbetter back behind the plate. She played there in game 1. The last 2 nights in games 2 and 3, it's been Rayla Allison. Ledbetter is a left-handed catcher, which makes her very effective on the throw to first base. 1 ball, no strikes, 2 outs, runner at first, top of the first. No score here, and that's down low for ball 2. The count is 2-2. Margaret Revenar was voted the outstanding pitcher in the Women's Professional Softball League for 1979, and she was the loser in game 1 here in the World Series. Swing and a miss. The count is 2-1 now. Nancy Nelson so far in the World Series 2 for 11. 1 RBI. She hit a home run in game number 2.
Good matchup right here. Margaret Revenar, the top pitcher in the league, and Nancy Nelson led the league in home runs, RBIs, and was the MVP.
That is the 3rd out. The side has been retired on the fly ball to center field off the bat of Nancy Nelson. So in the first inning, 1 hit, no runs, 1 batter left. We've completed a half inning of play here at Meriden, Connecticut. And the score, the Hummers nothing and the Falcons coming to bat.
You know, we were talking earlier about the outstanding offensive job that Willie Rose has done for the Falcons in this series. So far, Kathy Stillwell, the left fielder, and Willie Rose, the second baseman, have both been hitting the ball very well against St. Louis. That pretty much is the way things started off back 4 years ago when the league first opened up in Buffalo with the Connecticut Falcons playing against the Buffalo team at the time. Willie Rose was the first batter in the history of the league. She hit the 3rd pitch ever into the left field bullpen for a home run. Joan Joyce went on to pitch a shutout that game, Connecticut winning 1-0, and that's pretty much been the history of the league since then, Connecticut winning the close ball games.
We're ready to go now in the bottom half of inning number 1. Vicki Schneider, the shortstop in this game tonight defensively. There's shot of the boomer, Nancy Nelson, going back to first. She's the first baseman. Nancy Fidea is at second. Sue Heiner is at third base. Charlene Centerwald in left. Pat Ginsler center. Debbie Zoss right field. Margie Wright is the pitcher. Carol Myers is the catcher. And Kathy Stillwell will lead it off. Kathy Stillwell so far in the World Series in 1979, the leading hitter for the Connecticut Falcons. She's 5 for 13. Marge Wright, who pitched 6 1/3 innings of game number 2. She was the losing pitcher. It's a ball outside. In those 6 1/3 innings, she allowed 6 hits, 3 runs. 2 of them were earned runs. In game number 2, the Falcons scored 8 runs in the 7th inning. They did it with 8 hits and 3 errors. Swing and a miss. Count is 1-1. 1 strikeout in game number 2 for number 14 on the mound, Marge Wright, and she walked 2 batters. The count is 1-1, and that's ball 2. It's 2-1 now to Kathy Stillwell. 290 average for the year, 4 homers, 27 RBIs. 5 out of 13 in the 1979 Women's Professional Softball World Series. It's 3-1. So Marge Wright getting herself in a little bit of trouble. Right off the bat, the Falcons faced 3 different St. Louis pitchers in game number 2. So far, the Connecticut pitcher has gone all the way in each of the first 3 games. This is game 4, and that's ball 4.
Stillwell's not the kind of runner you want to put on base, especially with nobody out. Stillwell, excellent speed, and has a good tendency to take that extra base, force the defense into possibly making a mistake.
The hitter now will be Snooky Mulder. Snooky during the regular season a .224 average. So far in the World Series, she's 1 out of 6, and Snooky has an RBI. Snooky Mulder. Infield in very close at first and at third. Here's the pitch. Squares to bunt outside. Stillwell is stealing. She's safe. Kathy Stillwell, a stolen base. We'll watch it again, Fred.
There's that excellent speed we were talking about. You'll see it here. Myers coming out throwing. However, Stillwell with an outstanding jump slides around the tag trying to be made by Vicki Schneider.
And you'll notice these young ladies play in shorts, and I'm sure they get pretty skinned up during the course of the season.
Yet they don't hesitate sliding.
So now it's a little different situation for Snooky Mulder. She takes outside ball 2. She squared to bunt again. Speed and defense the keys, and they're going to try to get her down to third base, where she would be in position to score on a sacrifice fly. Joyce Compton, Joan Joyce waiting to bat. Connecticut trying to win the World Championship of Women's Professional Softball for the 3rd consecutive year. And they can do it, or the 4th consecutive year rather, and they can do it if they can win this game tonight. Snooky's bunt is a good one. Heiner will throw to Fidea. 1 away, the runner moves to third base. So a runner now at third with only one out.
Snooki Mulder, one of the outstanding bunters in the league. You'll see it again here on the replay. Snooki laying that ball down right in front of the plate, straight down. Heiner's only play will be to first base where Fade is covering. And Stillwell will move down to third base with one out.
The hitter now will be Joyce Compton. Joyce, 249, 1 homer, 21 RBIs in regular season. In the World Series, she's 1 for 11 with an RBI. Chance to drive in a run here. That's outside. Ball 1. 1 ball, no strikes. Runner at third, 1 out. We're just underway. The bottom half of inning number 1. It's game 4. Connecticut Falcons leading this best-of-5 series 2-1. They can win it all here tonight. You see the position of the infielders. They want to stop that run at home plate. Everybody in. Called strike. It's 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Looking down at the coach.
Stay tough now, stay tough.
And in the background, you see the on-deck hitter, Joan Joyce, the designated hitter tonight.
Come Margie!
Here's the 1-1 pitch. She bunts. To squeeze bunt. The play at home. Safe. Carol Myers is really unhappy. So is Nancy Nelson at home plate. The umpire at home, George Forline, called safe. Linda Wells, the coach, you see her walking into your picture, and we're going to have a discussion at home plate right here and now.
Was on the bag.
The squeeze was on. Kathy Stillwell running from third on the pitch. Margie Wright delivers. There's the bunt by Joyce Compton right down in front of the plate. Stillwell will be coming down the line into your picture momentarily. There's Wright trying to shovel the ball in. And
it appeared on the replay that she got to home plate before the ball got down.
There
was a collision at home plate. Carol Myers, you see her walking back out. She's very unhappy. Linda Wells came out to talk to the home plate umpire, but to no avail. It's a 1-0 lead for the Connecticut Falcons. Joan Joyce ready to step into the batter's box. And Joan so far has 3 RBIs in the World Series. A .318 hitter during the regular season. 1 out. A runner at first. A run is in. The pitch is a strike. No balls. 1 strike. Here's the play again. Let's watch it, Fred.
You'll see Margie Wright shoveling the ball with her glove hand, and Carol Myers getting it right near the plate.
Of course, the question is, there's a ground ball foul outside third. The question would be, of course, Fred, did or did she not touch home plate in that situation? Because Carol Myers had the plate blocked pretty securely. Maybe we can look at that again later, because I'd like to see if she ever really got a piece of the plate.
Also, it had to be a tag. There was no force at the plate. The tag had to be made before she touched home plate.
That's true, but the runner has to touch home. That's the other key. Popped up. Vicki Schneider going back. The left fielder coming in. She drops the ball. Charlene Senewald drops the ball. Runners at first and second. A high pop fly out beyond shortstop. Here, there's Nancy Nelson at first. Joan Joyce is on. We're still awaiting the call from the official score as to whether the last pop-up is a hit or an error. And they have ruled an error. The error will go on Charlene Senewald. So Joan Joyce is on the error. Here's the pop-up. It'll be over the shortstop's head. Let's watch it, Fred.
You can tell by the reaction of Joan Joyce. She hit it straight up in the air, right to shallow left field. Senewald coming in, trying to get under it, and just cannot get it, although it did tip her glove before it hit the ground.
So in the inning so far, no hits, but 1 error, 1 walk, and 1 run for the Connecticut Falcons. They're attempting to break out on top here early. And they have taken a 1-0 lead in the bottom half of inning number 1. Willie Rose will be the hitter. Willie, the young lady that Fred was talking about, who hit the home run in the very first women's professional softball game ever. So far in the World Series, Willie is 2 out of 10. Runners at first and second, still just 1 out. Marge Wright trying to get out of this jam in the first. Swing and a miss, good pitch. Took a little bit off that time, and Willie Rose was way out in front. Willie coming into tonight, .288 average, 3 home runs, and 15 RBIs. A veteran of women's professional softball. We're very happy you're with us on the TCS Satellite Network. There's a swing and a miss, strike 2. It's 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Runners at first and second, 1 run in for Connecticut. The Falcons trying to wrap up their 4th consecutive World Series championship.
With Compton at second, Joan Joyce at first, and Rose the batter. 3 original Falcons right from the very first day of this league 4 years ago.
And what success they've had. 3 consecutive world championships. Later on, as we pan the ballpark, you'll probably see the flag in center field. It has the American flag and 3 World Series flags. Long drive, but it's foul off the bat of Willie Rose on top of the Connecticut Public Television truck out there. And we want to thank the folks at Connecticut Connecticut Public Television, for helping us out, sharing the feed with us on the TCS satellite network so you can see all the action, the finest women's softball players in the world right here live in Connecticut. That's foul. It's still 1 ball, 2 strikes to Willie Rose. Marge Wright out on the mound, coming into tonight, 21 victories, 9 defeats, 220 innings pitched. She's allowed 135 hits. She struck out 65, walked 34, started 31. There are the flags we were talking about, the 3 World Championship flags hanging in center field. The wind is blowing a little bit to the right. A lot of heavy clouds earlier in the evening. We hope it's going to clear off, and we'll get this softball game in for you tonight. Foul tip. She's still alive. It's 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes. If there is a Game 5, it will be here in Meriden, Connecticut tomorrow night, and the TCS satellite network will bring it to you live starting at 7:30 Eastern Time. 1-2 the count to Willie Rose, who's been fouling it off to stay alive up there. 1 out. Runners at first and second. Here's the pitch. Hits this one to left field. Centerwald going back. It's out of here. A home run for Willie Rose. And it's a 4-0 lead for the Falcons of Connecticut. Willie Rose earlier hit a long drive foul. This time she got it all. And a 3-run homer for Willie Rose. And just like that, Fred, it's 4-0.
This is the first time we've seen a big lead in the first inning, and of course this time it happened with Connecticut at the plate here in the first. We'll take a look at Rose's home run once again, and there you see a line shot to left field. Centerwall taking off immediately, but she did not have a play. It's over the wall, and the Falcons have jumped off to a 4-0 lead in the bottom of the first.
Marge Wright now has got to go to work. We'll see if someone starts to warm up. Yes, we do. Tanya Adrian is making her way down toward the bullpen for the St. Louis Hummers. There's a called strike from Marge Wright to Margaret Rebenar. Here's Marge Wright out on the mound. Here's the home run again off the bat of Willie Rose. And Willie, look at her take a long look. She got all of it. Centerwald had no chance. You see it get over the fence. A 3-run homer and a 4-run first inning for the Connecticut Falcons, trying to wrap up another world championship. Margaret Rebenar is the hitter. Margaret is the pitcher and an excellent hitter also. So far in the World Series, she has hit a home run. She started that 8-run 7th inning in game number 2 with a home run. She's 2 for 4. She has 2 RBIs. There's Tanya Adrian, number 30, warming up down the line. Of course, that's just exactly what the Hummers didn't want to happen tonight, to fall behind early. 1 out, nobody on, swing and a miss. Count is 2-2. A 3-run homer off the bat of Willie Rose. And actually, Fred, the home runs have played a very important part in this contest, in the series, even though we've talked about the speed and the defense involved with these young ladies, but the home runs have been a definite factor.
They certainly have. They've turned the games around in Game 1 with the Falcons leading 1-0 on an unearned run. Charlene Centerwald hit the 2-run homer that gave the win that first game to St. Louis.
And right now it's 4-0 in the bottom of the first. Rebenar takes outside. She walks, second walk in the inning. Given up by Marge Wright. Marge is getting in all kinds of trouble early here tonight. Adi Kuyala will be coming up. It's a warm night.
He's outside.
Apparently, Margie Wright making a couple of comments to the home plate umpire, George Forline here. Not happy, apparently, with a couple of his calls.
Gave up only 6 home runs, as you saw during the regular season. And that one tonight was a costly one. She gave up 1 home run in game number 2 of the 1979 World Series. That was hit by Margaret Rebenar, who's on at first base at the present time. So 1 out. They're trying to calm her down a little bit out there on the mound. It's been a rough first inning for Margie Wright. She works very hard at her job. Adi Kuyala is up 271 average during the regular season. 2 out of 10 in the 1979 World Series. Infielders move up the line at first and third. That's a called strike. So Adi at the bat, the right fielder. 1 home run, 20 RBIs total now for the year. Here's the pitch to her. Ground ball up the middle, a base hit. Rebenar will stop at second. Runners at first and second now. A single for Adi Kuyala. That is hit number 2 in the inning. There have been 2 walks. We'll watch it again.
Adi Kuyala lining the ball up the middle, just past the reach of Margie Wright, and also just outside of the reach of Nancy Videa, the second baseman. Patty Ginsler picking it up and playing it back. Marge Rebinar holding up at second base.
The hitter now is Jackie Ledbetter, who is the catcher and was 0 for 3 in Game 1. Did not play in Game 2 or Game 3. Regular season, almost a 300 hitter. Swing, grounder to Nancy Nelson. Throw to third, in time for the out. A force at third. Nancy Nelson going across the diamond to third. They get the force on Margaret Rebinar there. Down to second on the play is Audie Kuyala, and Jackie Ledbetter now will be on at first with a fielder's choice. And the ninth batter to come up in the inning, Linda McMorran. Linda, 3 out of 9 in the World Series, a 161 hitter during the regular season, but she's had a pretty good World Series. Batting with 2 outs, ground ball to short. Snyder makes the tag in time. Snyder, an excellent play, coming over to make the tag on Audie Kuyala and in the inning. But in the inning, there were 4 runs scored. Just 2 hits, a couple of walks, 2 runners left on base. We've completed 1 inning of play here at Connecticut. And our score, the Connecticut Falcons 4, the St. Louis Hummers nothing. We'll be back right after this. Have you checked the prices of oranges, grapefruit, and orange juice lately? Well, to give you some idea of how costs have gone up, to get a half gallon of orange juice, you'd have to squeeze about 2 dozen oranges. And you know what they cost. Daly's juice products are made with natural fruit juices, plus the pulp, the natural fiber of the fruit. And they have extra vitamin C. Compare the flavor, the quality, and the price. You'll buy Daly's. New this year on the TCS Satellite Network, the Charlie Pell Show, featuring the Florida Gators. Charlie Pell, the former coach at Clemson, is the new head coach at the University of Florida. Charlie's success at Clemson should only mean years of prosperity for the Florida Gators. Each Tuesday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, you and Charlie will review the previous week's triumph or defeat and the reasons why they occurred. That's the Charlie Pell Show, new right here this fall on the TCS Satellite Network. Ready to go at the top of the second inning, and Fred, the Hummers are in a deep hole at this point.
Yes, they are. They're going to have to play come from behind from this point on, and they are not usually a come from behind team. The Falcons are able to do that quite well. However, the St. Louis team is scrappy. They proved it against Buffalo in the playoffs. They came in here red hot. They were very convinced that they could defeat the Falcons, and now we'll have to see just what kind of a team they are as far as coming from behind.
Sue Heiner will start it off. Sue 4 for 9 in the World Series so far in 1979. See what she can do against Margaret Rebinar. The Hummers need some base runners. That's high for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes.
Another thing, John, I think that a lot of people around the league are going to realize whether or not the Hummers are able to come from behind and win this World Series is that they are definitely a team that's going to have to be reckoned with in women's pro softball for the next few years. They may be the team to be reckoned with in the next couple of seasons.
And we'll be talking more, of course, about the BIC International Women's Professional Softball Association as we go along, the teams that are involved in that organization. And, of course, it's a franchise and an organization that hopes to grow, looking for franchises. Connecticut, Buffalo, New York are the teams in the Eastern Division. St. Louis, San Jose, and Edmonton are the teams in the Western Division. And I was talking to John the other night, who indicated to me, Fred, that they are very hopeful of getting some new teams in the association. Down to first on the walk goes Sue Heiner, and that's, of course, what Marge Rebinar does not want to do, leading 4-0. Marge Rebinar in game number 1 gave up 7 hits. She pitched the entire 9 innings, gave up the 2 runs, lost the game by a score of 2-1. She struck out 4 and walked 3. She has walked 1 batter here tonight. Bethel Stout, the designated hitter, takes high for ball 1. Bethel, 2 for 12 so far in the World Series in 1979.
As we were talking before, John Salerno, the league administrator, was talking to us about franchises and was hopeful that some people who may have a franchise would call them in Connecticut.
That's a base hit. He looped it down. She looped it down the first baseline, and it dropped in. Bethel Stout has a single. So runners at first and second, and the Hummers are getting something going.
Here it is on the replay. Bethel Stout looping it over the head of the first baseman, Joyce Compton, and down the line in right field. No chance for Kuyala, the right fielder, to make the play. Very important situation here. I think if St. Louis can get a couple of runs out of this particular inning with 2 on and nobody out, they may get a little more confidence back that they can catch the Falcons tonight.
And if you hear some noise in the background, it's because we are sitting right under the public address system here, now located out on front of the press box. At Falcon Field in Meriden, Connecticut, we're live, and we're delighted that you're with us here on the TCS Satellite Network. This is another exclusive feature of the network. There's the bunt. The throw will go to first, and it's just barely in time. Marge Wright laid down the bunt, and they got her at first base, but she completes the sacrifice, moving runners up to second and third. Let's watch it one more time here.
This is exactly what they wanted to do. They wanted to get Heiner and Stout into scoring position. They did it with Margie Wright's bunt, and it was an outstanding bunt. Compton picking it up, the first baseman, and firing it to second baseman Willie Rose, covering just in time.
Carol Myers now will be the hitter. Carol still looking for her first hit in the World Series in 1979, a .257 average in regular season, 0 for 11. And how the Hummers would like to see her get a hit here. That's high for a ball. It's 4-0 in the top of the second inning. St. Louis trailing. They're batting with runners at second and third. And Carol Myers at the plate against Margaret Rebenar. Ground ball, right field, base hit. One run is in for St. Louis. The other runner has to hold. A great throw from right field by Adi Kuyala. Runners at first and third now. It's a 4-1 game.
That's exactly what the Hummers need right now. They need to score runs. A base hit by Carol Myers, a big one. Here it is again on the replay. Carol Myers lining the ball between second baseman Willie Rose and first baseman Joyce Compton. Rose giving it a good try. Kuyala with an outstanding arm at right field, and they respect her arm. That means Bethel Stout will hold up at third base.
Sue Heiner scored the run, and it's a 4-1 game. Coming up now will be Vicki Schneider. Linda McMorrin sneaking down the line at third. Joyce Compton coming in down the line at first. One out. Runners at first and third. Here in the second, it's a 4-1 game. Schneider takes outside, ball one. Margaret Rebenar on the mound, the most valuable pitcher in the BIC International Women's Professional Softball Association for 1979. Her record during the regular season was 20-5. That's high. It's 2-0. Margaret Rebenar getting in a little trouble early here tonight. 4-1. The Falcons lead it. We're live in Meriden, Connecticut, women's professional softball. There's the strike. So the count is 2-1 now. Schneider looks down at third at Coach Linda Wells.
Rebenar trying to keep the pitch low, wants Schneider to hit it on the ground, looking for the double play at second and at shortstop.
Here's the 2-1. She missed again. It's 3-1 now. Now Margaret Rebenar's got to throw a strike here, or the bases will be full of Hummers. One out. Here's the pitch. That's a called strike two. It's 3-2.
And the on-deck hitter would be Charlene Sennewald, who in this World Series has already hit a home run off of Margaret Rebenar in game one.
It was a game-winning blow, as a matter of fact, in game number one. You see Joan Joyce warming up down the right field line. Joan was the winning pitcher in game number two, an 8-1 victory for the Connecticut Falcons, and she's warming up down the line. Connecticut would like to win this tonight and end this series right here.
You know, Joan Joyce has the only save this season by a member of the Falcon Mound Corps.
And she came in for Sandy Fisher in that one particular game. Otherwise, everyone who started for Connecticut went all the way this year, which makes it easy on the manager, right?
And
here
the bullpen coach.
Swing and a miss. Struck her out. First strikeout in the game for Margaret Rebenar. It came at a good point, I'll tell you that. Here it is.
Take a look at that pitch from Marge Rebenar once again. And it's low. She's keeping it down low and inside. Vicki Schneider swinging and missing. A big strikeout for Margaret Rebenar.
Now there are two outs in the top half of the second inning. The runners still at first and at third. Myers at first. Bethel Stout is at third. The hitter is Sennewald. Pops it up. Compton. 3 away, the side retired. So in the inning, 1 run for the St. Louis Hummers on 2 hits. There was 1 walk in the inning and 2 runners left on base. We've completed an inning and a half here at Meriden, Connecticut. And our score, the Connecticut Falcons 4, the St. Louis Hummers 1.
An important thing, though, we do have 3 hits for both teams. That was important for St. Louis to have those hits in that inning. I think now they have at least enough confidence in themselves to know that they can hit Margaret Rebenar, and they may be able to come from behind and rally, because they have done well in the second inning. It's too bad they could not get that run in. Bethel Stout, who was at third base with one out, but they did get their runners on base. They did move them around, and that was a positive sign for the Hummers in this fourth game.
We will go now to the bottom half of the second inning. All 9 of the Connecticut Falcons batted the first time around. And for Connecticut, we should point out that Karen Gallagher is the shortstop tonight. And Karen is not batting in the batting order. She is being DH'd for. They use the designated hitter not just for the pitcher in women's professional softball, but they use the designated hitter for other players also. Here are the ballpark dimensions: 190 to left, 215 to left center, 225 to dead center, 215 to right center, 190 down the right field line. The bases, of course, 60 feet apart. From pitcher's mound to home plate, it is 44 feet. It's a very fast, exciting game, and you're seeing the finest players in the world right here tonight on the TCS Satellite Network. Ready to go, leadoff hitter. Kathy Stillwell is up. In the first inning, she walked and came around to score. Stole a base, too. Hits this one high to left field. Centerwald makes the play, one away.
You're talking about the pitcher's mound being 44 feet away from home plate. It wasn't always that far back. In 1976, that pitcher's mound was at 40 feet, the same distance from home plate as they had in amateur softball for women. And then the following year, they decided to cut down on the pitcher's dominance of the game. They'd move it back by 4 feet, and that's where it is now, 44 feet from home plate.
One of the other things that they are considering here is a little bit lighter softball, which they think would help the hitters a little bit. The pitch to Snooky Mulder. She hit this one a long, long way down the right field line. Zoss right in the corner to make the play. In fair territory, Debbie Zoss had a long run. Snooky has a smile on her face. She almost got that ball out of here. That would have been her first home run of the year.
Snooky not known for her power to right field, and she hit it way in the air and into the corner. And according to umpire Paul Smotus, it was just fair as she caught the ball in the right field corner.
2 up and 2 down here in the bottom of the second. Joyce Compton is now the hitter, still warming up. Tanya Adrian down the line. Foul. You see how Sue Heiner and Nancy Nelson come creeping down the line at third and at first on Joyce Compton. Marge Wright trying to settle down after she gave up 4 runs in the first inning.
Margie!
It's outside, and the count is 1-1 now with 2 outs. Nobody on here in the bottom of the second. 4-1 is the score. The Connecticut Falcons trying to win their 4th consecutive World Series championship. This is the BIC International Women's Professional Softball Association World Series. I'm John Sanders, working tonight with Fred Landau. Pretty good crowd tonight. I don't believe, Fred, though, maybe it was the little threat of rain that we had before the game, that we have as many people as we had last night.
No, last night so far the best crowd we've seen in the first 4 games.
Swing and a miss at home plate. It's a foul. Count is 1-2 on Joyce Compton.
But those ominous clouds that we noticed as we came to the ballpark tonight maybe had something to do with the size of the crowd here this evening.
I'm sure that's true. Just missed outside. It's 2-2 now. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Two outs. Nobody on here in the bottom of the second. This one's hit down the right field line also. Not as deep as the one that Snooky hit, but it's foul, bouncing into the corner. They're getting around pretty good on Marge Wright at the present time.
I think it's one of the reasons we see Tanya Adrian continuing to warm up in the Hummer bullpen, despite the fact that the Falcons haven't gotten anybody on base here in the second inning. Good look there of Marge Wright and Sue Heiner, her third baseman, talking it over.
There's a lot of pressure on the Hummers, but you wouldn't have known it from the way they were around the hotel today and before the game. They were very loose and relaxed. It's 2-2. Here's the pitch. She just stayed alive with that one. Hits it down past Tanya Adrian, who's warming up down the left field line. Of course, they should be confident. You know, this is a team that's had as much success as they have this year. Case of 65 victories and 25 losses.
With the exception of Patty Ginsler, this is a very young ball club anyway. A lot of young players, and they tend to stay loose.
Compton hits this one into right center field. That's going to bounce off the wall. She'll be at second base with a double, holding up there as the ball comes back into the infield. Joyce Compton, a line drive double to right. That's hit number 4 in the game now for the Falcons. Here it is.
Joyce Compton lining it up the power alley in right center field, and she hits that ball. That's a line shot beyond the reach of both Patty Ginsler and Debbie Zoss as it hits off of the wall in right center. Ginsler making the throw back into the infield as Compton pulls up at second base with a stand-up double.
So Joan Joyce will now be the hitter. Joan reached on an error in the first inning, came around to score a run.
Joan had the highest batting average of any of the Falcon regulars this year, hitting .318 during the regular season.
Takes outside. Count is 2-0, including the World Series so far, in which Joan is 3 for 11 with 3 RBIs. She's a .315 hitter now, 2 home runs, and a total of 24 RBIs. Those figures are updated to include the 1979 World Series. We're live from Meriden, Connecticut on the TCS Satellite Network. Just another exclusive feature here on our TCS Satellite Network. 2-0 is the count. 2 balls, no strikes. Runner at second, 2 outs. That's a strike to Joan Joyce. Using a yellow softball, yellow bases here in the World Series. St. Louis Hummers trying to get back in this. Down 2-1. This could be it unless they come back. There it's 2-2. So Joan Joyce looked at a couple pitches and the count is even. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. A runner down at second, Joyce Compton, who doubled. 5 hits so far in the game. Ground ball, fair. Nope. Or is it fair? Is it foul? The run is scoring. One umpire started to motion foul. Joan Joyce down at second with a 2-base hit. And they got her off the base, and she's out at second base. Joan Joyce lifted her foot up off the bag. The run is in. It's a double for Joan Joyce. She gets an RBI, and that's the 3rd out in the inning. Let's watch it again, Fred.
Joan Joyce getting around on Margie Wright's pitch. It was low and inside. Joni lining it to third, and there it is down the line. And, of course, scoring on the play is Joyce Compton.
We have finished 2 innings of play now. The score, Connecticut 5 and St. Louis 1. We'll be back right after this. It is now a 5-1 lead for Connecticut as they take the field for the top half of inning number 3. Let's watch it again. Here's the pitch to Joan Joyce, and she hit a bullet just barely fair inside the line at third. You see the umpire, he starts to motion foul, but then the home plate umpire had ruled fair ball. Down in the corner, you see him chasing it down. That's Charlene Centerwald. The run scores, and down at second, Joan Joyce slides in, and she's safe with a double. However, Joan lifts her foot off the bag. And as she does, she's tagged out. There's no question about it. She was out at second base. So now, we go to the top of the 3rd inning. The hitter to lead it off will be Debbie Zoss. It's a 5-1 game.
Almost looked as though Joni hit that slide a little bit late, and then when she came up on the bag, it jolted her, and that's why she was off the bag.
Popped it up. Joyce Compton, 1 away. 1 up, 1 down in the top half of the 3rd inning. Pat Ginsler will be the hitter. Pat Ginsler, as Debbie Zoss goes back, tried to bunt in the 1st inning. She bunted at foul, a diving catch by Linda McMorrin. She led the Hummers in the playoffs with a .562 batting average and 2 home runs. She was outstanding in the playoffs against Buffalo, and that's how the St. Louis team reached the World Series, defeating Buffalo after Buffalo had defeated San Jose. Connecticut qualified for the World Series by having the best regular season record. Ground ball to short, easy hop. Throw is in time from Karen Gallagher, and they're quickly 2 away. We're in the top of the third of a 5-1 game. Connecticut trying to wrap up the World Championship. Nancy Nelson will be coming to the plate as Patty Ginsler heads back.
Patty Ginsler hitting down on the ball and hits it right to shortstop Karen Gallagher, who hadn't played the last 2 games. Karen coming up with the ball and throwing her out at first base.
Nancy Nelson hits one down the right field line. Willie Rose drops it in foul territory. Throw to second. Nancy's out, but it's a foul ball. It is a foul ball. So the Boomer hustled down to second base for nothing. It's a foul ball. So Nancy Nelson will have to come all the way back. Willie Rose almost made a beautiful running catch in foul territory. She just juggled it a little bit as she came across the line.
It's amazing. All of that work by several different people. It's all for naught. We do it all over again.
It's just a strike on Nancy Boomer Nelson. Margaret Rebinar out on the mound looking for her 21st victory of the season. And counting the World Series, Fred, there are 3 20-game winners on this Falcon club. There's a strike. Good pitch on the outside corner. If you had any question as to why they are the world champions, you have 3 pitchers with 60 victories, and that's a bunch. Those 3 pitchers have done all of the work this year for Connecticut. Margaret Rebinar on the mound right now, named the outstanding pitcher in women's professional softball for 1979. That's high ball. It's 1 and 2.
You know, you talk about 3 pitchers having 60 victories. When you consider that all told, maybe they play 95 ball games. That just shows you the type of pitching staff, and they have been dominating the league this year as far as pitching.
Inside. Count is even at 2 and 2. Connecticut Falcons have only lost 21 games this year, winning 61. And they're looking for number 62 tonight. That's high.
3 and 2.
The count is 3 and 2 now. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, nobody on. We're in the top of the third. We're in the top half of the third inning. The count is 3 and 2 on the Boomer, Nancy Nelson. Here's the pitch to her. A called strike 3. Nancy Nelson could not believe it. She drops her bat at home plate, but it is a called strike 3. So it's a 1-2-3 inning for Margaret Rebinar. Here's the pitch. Margaret got the strike, and it's 5-1 as we advance now to the bottom half of the third inning. Fred?
Nothing across in that inning, and Boomer Nelson not particularly happy with that last call. She felt it was a little high and tight. She ducked away from the pitch, as a matter of fact, and end result, though, is for Margaret Rebinar. It's a strikeout, her second of the game.
Margaret Rebinar so far tonight, that was, as Fred pointed out, her second strikeout. She's allowed 1 run, 1 walk so far in the game, and 3 hits total in the ball game so far. For the Hummers from St. Louis, who are down 5-1, and they've got to go to work as they huddle defensively. Fred has pointed out in some of our previous games that in women's professional softball, the players huddle around the pitcher every inning and talk things over. Marge Wright giving a little pep talk to her teammates right there. 2-1 in game 1. Game 2 was 8-1 for the Falcons. Game 3 was 2-0 for the Falcons. So the Hummers have scored only 3 runs in the 3 games. They have 1 more run here tonight. And we are in the bottom half of the third inning of game 4. Willie Rose to lead it off. She hit a home run, a 3-run homer in the first inning. She takes outside for ball 1. And really, for Willie Rose, that was her her 4th home run of the year. And she now has 18 RBIs. High fly ball. Shortstop Vicky Snyder makes the catch. And there's 1 out. So Willie Rose is retired. The hitter now will be Margaret Rebinar. Margaret had a home run in game number. She had a home run in game number 2.
Right.
She pitched in game number 1. Was a DH in game number 2.
She was the one who started that 8-run rally in the 7th inning in game 2. Margaret Rebinar coaches at Chaffee Junior High School in California during the winter.
These young ladies do not play softball for a living. It's more of a summer job. Many of them are in school. Many of them are employed either in coaching or some other athletic endeavor in many cases. Joan Joyce, for example, is involved in a travel agency. She plays golf. I think she even runs the concession stands. Woo! Margaret Rebenar hit that one a mile. Foul. High and deep, but foul down the left field line. And everybody so far tonight, Fred, is having a pretty good rip at Marge Wright.
Seems that way. It doesn't seem like Margie has her best stuff tonight. We've seen Margie totally dominate sometimes when she's on the mound. She is an outstanding pitcher, a 20-8 record on the season. She has to be doing something right. 1.06 earned run average for the year. But against the Falcons, she's had somewhat mixed success. 3-3 with a 2.26 ERA this year. So apparently the Falcons seem to have her number.
They have a 5-1 lead right now. In game number 4, the bottom half of inning number 3 on the TCS Satellite Network. We're live in Meriden, Connecticut. The rain apparently going to hold off again tonight. Fred, we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Let's hope so. We're outside on the front veranda of the press box tonight.
Yes, if it rains, we are in serious trouble here. Ground ball. Marge Wright makes a good play. Throws her out, and that's 2 away.
Margie Wright reacting very quickly to the ground ball up the middle by Margaret Rebenar. We should see it again. Here it is. Margie Wright, a good fielding pitcher. And you'll see it on this play right here. Reacts very quickly. And now that she's got it, she takes her time and throws to Boomer Nelson at first.
2 outs now, 2 up and 2 down. Willie Rose flied to short. Margaret Rebenar bounced back to the pitcher. And Adi Kuyala now, the left-hander, is the batter. Adi singled in the first inning and was retired at third for the 3rd out in the inning. Takes a strike. 2 outs here. In the bottom half of the 3rd, the Connecticut Falcons batting with a 5-1 lead. Called strike 2. 1-2 now on Adi Kuyala, who so far is 3 for 11 in the 1979 World Series. The BIC International Women's Professional Softball Association World Championship right here live in Connecticut. The count is 2-2 with 2 outs to Adi Kuyala, strong throwing right fielder of the world champion Connecticut Falcons. Almost no wind at all right now at Falcon Field. Ground ball to short. Good play by Vicki Schneider. The long throw in time. The side is retired. So Marge Wright has a 3-up, 3-down inning, and we have completed 3 innings of play at Falcon Field in Meriden, Connecticut. Our score remains the Connecticut Falcons 5, the St. Louis Hummers 1. We'll be back right after this. The excitement of professional football from Canada continues September the 7th with the first place Toronto Argonauts battling the rival Montreal Alouettes. Canadian football is quite different from the brand of football you've watched in the past. A longer, wider field creates a wide-open game for both the passer and the speedster. Watch as the top Canadian teams vie for a spot in the playoffs with the ultimate goal in mind, the Grey Cup. That's professional football from Canada, each week on the TCS Satellite Network. Back for its second year of nationwide distribution is the Jackie Sherrill Show. This show features highlights of Pitt Panthers football games. Viewers of the TCS Satellite Network will be able to match strategies with Panther head coach Jackie Sherrill as he reviews the past week's game. The Panthers have been considered as one of the top contenders for this year's national championship. You won't want to miss a single moment of the Jackie Sherrill Show, exclusively here on the TCS Satellite Network. Ready to go for the top half of inning number 4, Fred, and it has not been a happy game so far for the Hummers from St. Louis.
No, John, it hasn't to date in this game anyway. Sue Heiner will be followed by Bethel Stout and Margie Wright slot in the order if she does bat. And I think this is a good time for St. Louis to try to put something on the scoreboard if they're going to get back in this ball game. They're going to need a couple of runs here. We are in the 4th inning, and they're going to have to do it against Margaret Rebenar, who's looked good so far in this ball game.
Sue Heiner will be the batter. Sue walked in the 2nd inning, and she has scored the only run in the game so far for the Hummers from St. Louis. She is 4 for 9 in the World Series. 293 hitter coming into this game for the entire season. Sue Heiner at the plate. Top of the 4th, a 5-1 lead for Connecticut. That's high, and the count is even now at 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Nobody out, nobody on in the top half of inning number 4. The Falcons of Connecticut trying to bring home the World Championship of women's professional softball for the 3rd straight year. Grounder to Linda McMorrin, an easy hop and a nice throw, and there's 1 away.
Sue Heiner hitting the ball hard, but right at Linda McMorrin, the third baseman for the Falcons, who makes the play for the first out here in the fourth inning.
The hitter now will be Bethel Stout. Bethel had a single in the second inning. Advanced as far as third. She was part of that rally that saw one run score for St. Louis.
Here's an odd point. Bethel Stout's a designated hitter, yet in 1975 she won a defensive award, an ASA ball.
And she just gets thrown out by Karen Gallagher right there. 2 up and 2 down. 2 ground balls to the left side. Here it is.
Bethel Stout hitting the ball hard, but hitting it right at shortstop Karen Gallagher. Karen taking that half hop and then firing it over to Joyce Compton at first, and plenty of time to get Stout.
Marge Wright now is the hitter. Marge Wright sacrificed in the second inning. And her sacrifice pushed runners to second and third and helped get 1 run home for St. Louis eventually, because the hitter that's waiting in the on-deck circle, Carol Myers, came through with a base hit and got the RBI. 2 balls, no strikes now to Marge Wright, who until tonight had not batted in the World Series for 1979. 160 hitter in the regular season. Ground ball. Willie Rose makes a diving stop, knocks it down, but she cannot throw anyone out. The ball trickles out into center field. It's a base hit for Marge Wright.
Willie Rose
now gets her first hit.
Willie Rose trying her best to come up with that ball. Wright hit the ball up the middle, past Marge Rebinar. Rose got her glove on it, but the ball trickled out into the outfield, and Margie Wright has herself a single.
So Marge Wright with a base hit. Carol Myers will be the hitter. She checks with her coach, Linda Wells, down at third before she steps into the batter's box. She had a base hit and an RBI in the second inning, driving in the only run so far in the game for the St. Louis Hummers. 2 outs and a runner at first in the top of the fourth inning. St. Louis trying to climb back in this game. Connecticut scoring 4 runs in the first inning. Lead right now by a score of 5-1. 1 ball, no strikes, runner at first. The pitch fouled back to the screen. So the count is 1-1. Two outs, that runner still at first base. Here's Rebinar's pitch. Hit hard to center field. Snooki Mulder will move in a few steps and make the play. So the side is retired, no runs, 1 hit in the inning, 1 runner left on base. We've completed 3.5 innings of play here in Meriden, Connecticut, and our score remains the Connecticut Falcons 5 and the St. Louis Hummers 1.
So far, the Falcons, as you see on the screen, 5 runs, 5 hits, no errors. The Hummers, 1 run, 4 hits, 1 error to date in this ball game, Game 4. And the Falcons, of course, tonight, this being Game 4, a 2-1 game edge after 3 games, can wrap it all up here at Falcon Field. Most of these gals have to go back to their winter jobs soon anyway, many of them PE instructors, coaches, various high schools and colleges around the country. And of course, they don't get much of a vacation between their summer job here in women's pro softball and their winter jobs at various schools.
As we go to the bottom half of the fourth inning, the Connecticut Falcons with a 5-1 lead will send up their catcher, Jackie Ledbetter. She looked from behind first base at Nancy Nelson, throwing a little infield practice. This is Marge Wright, the pitcher. Marge trying to hang on here. She's been roughed up a little bit. She gave up 3 runs, 2 of them earned in her first appearance in game number 2. And here tonight, she's been touched for 4 runs so far. 3 of them earned. There's Joan Joyce. Joan's down at first base, coaching. And they huddle around Margie Wright once again. It's rather humid here tonight. I think a little more humid than it was for games 2 and 3. Not quite as uncomfortable as it was in game number 1. But it was a cloudy day here in Connecticut. There's you see what Jackie does, assistant women's softball coach at the University of California in Berkeley. Spends her summers here in lovely Connecticut playing women's softball. Of course, they actually spend a lot of time all over the country because they have to travel from East Coast to the West Coast to play their games. It's strike 1. No balls, 1 strike. Nobody out, just underway in the bottom half of inning number 4. Each team with 4 hits. But Connecticut has 5 runs. Hummers have just 1. Connecticut Public Television doing our pickup tonight. Ken Horseman, our director, and they've done an outstanding job for us all week. If we should go to a Game 5, it'll be live tomorrow night at 7:30 here in Meriden, and we will be here. Over the head of Jackie Ledbetter, Marge Wright just briefly acknowledging to Jackie that she wasn't throwing it at her. It went right over her head. I would say that these two teams are what you would call friendly combatants, Fred.
I would
get along
say
fairly
so.
well.
Margie, come on now.
Bunts it foul. So now the count 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Margie Wright, an outstanding competitor from Warrensburg, Illinois. That's where her home is. In 1977, she was the league's Rookie of the Year, and she's a volleyball coach in the off-season.
Come on, Margie.
Here's the pitch. Ground ball to short. Schneider. In time, 1 away. So Jackie Ledbetter is out here in the 4th inning. Short to first. And that's 4 batters in a row that have been retired now by Marge Wright. The hitter will be Linda McMorran. Linda reached on a fielder's choice in the 1st inning.
Margie, come on, Marge.
D-Right!
She was the last batter in the 1st inning as they made a play at 3rd base to end the inning while she was going to first.
Margie.
Oh.
The count is 1-1 to Linda McMorran. 9 batters went to the plate in inning number 1 for the Connecticut Falcons. As they scored 4 runs, they lead it now 5-1. We're in the bottom half of the 4th inning, high and tight from Marge Wright. Here's the pitch. High and outside. It's 3-1 now. Nobody on. 1 out. The bottom half of the 4th inning. The Bick International Women's Professional Softball Association World Series, and the Connecticut Falcons, the only team to ever win that title, trying to do it for the 4th consecutive year. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Good pitch from Marge Wright that time. Took a little bit off of it, got it across. He pushed the count full at 3-2. 3 balls, 2 strikes. 1 out. We're live on the TCS Satellite Network from Meriden, Connecticut. We're glad you're with us. Fouled back to the screen. Count remains 3-2. This is just another exclusive feature on the TCS Satellite Network. Of course, we'll be talking about other things as we go along tonight as you watch our satellite network, the Jackie Sherrill Show, Florida Gators football, of course, Penn State football. A lot of exciting action coming up for you this fall. That's ball 4 to Linda McMorran. She's on at first with a walk. 3rd walk in the game issued by Marge Wright. She has yet to strike anyone out. Marge Wright will have to face Kathy Stillwell now. Kathy walked in the 1st inning, came around to score the 1st run of the game. She flied to left in the 2nd inning. Led the league in triples with 8, 4th in total bases in the 1979 season. She hits this one like a bullet. Foul down the left field line. They're getting around on Marge Wright pretty good tonight, Fred. Could be maybe she doesn't have quite as much quickness as she has had at other times in the season.
Margie Wright, an outstanding pitcher. And Kathy Stillwell happens to be have what they call a quick